Hello, and welcome to the Place of Wrath and Tears, a KULT Divinity Lost actual play stream. So we have recorded the past two games, and we have found that that for a bunch of reasons we really enjoy that. One, it helps us do a little bit of negotiation and troubleshooting and stuff like that. It lets Curtis do some really cool things, and it also lets us get comfortable, put on our fuzzy slippers, kick our feet up, and listen to all of you scream at the top of your lungs on Twitch in real time. So we are probably going to continue recording like this, at least for now. So yeah, I hope that you enjoy, because we're probably right now at least one of us is in the chat right now, listening to the stories. So last game was pretty heavy, to understate. Last game was a hell of a ride, and while the roller coaster is over, the dizziness and nausea have not quite worn off. So we are still going to be touching on the same subjects of last game, albeit in a past tense, deal with it kind of way, or deal with it in the Van Horst fashion. So there is going to be discussion of abuse, violence via sex, I think, is probably the assassination via sex, and general other toxic discussion. So while this isn't going to be a episode where we showcase those things, this is going to be an episode where really good role players really get down and dirty, and into the guts of dealing with trauma, being a dispenser of a dispenser of trauma and a receiver of trauma. Mm-hmm. And so that can sometimes be sneaky emotional. So please, take care of yourselves. We care about you, and we want you to have fun. We want this to be an enjoyable pastime and a pleasurable experience. So when it stops being those things, take a break. Go make some pizza pockets, or whatever else you want to do. But whenever it's the right time for you to come back, come back. But yeah, I think that's it. Logistically speaking, the teleprompter in my head just turned off. That was pretty cool. One of your cats kicked a cord.
Where are we gonna start? Yeah. Do we want to start with Clara calling the hotel?
That makes sense to me, unless you guys want to leap forward into the post phone call people arriving. Do you want to have those phone calls? Bet you they're really good phone calls in retrospect, upon consideration. They sound like very fun, messy phone calls.
Yeah,
I feel like starting with Clara's trying to deal with her stuff is going to be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, oh yeah,
I agree.
Yeah.
No, that's perfectly fine. I agree.
Yeah.
And Matthew is basically just going to head back after everything, so he can come in at whatever time. But I think having the phone call first is good.
Yeah.
So, trying to think, she probably calls her and Matthew's suite first, and it just rings because he's not there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then she calls Bethany's room.
So let's, because we all know that Bethany is going to have a real whiplash kind of moment here in a second, let's make sure that she's correctly placed for that whiplash to hit as thoroughly.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Dear Bethany, freshly exfoliated.
Yep.
How, having returned from this dream place, what's your vibe?
Really feeling like there's the visualization of a direction. I want to say, like, oh, this is a place, and it's a place that's mine. And it's sad that other people who share my face don't understand what sharing looks like properly, and so I will have to consume them. So I was gonna leave that one alone, and then I couldn't. And sort of more like the other Bethany said, that really was an escape and a place that was Bethany's. And so knowing that she has that is very sort of affirming, I guess I would just say, is that she's going to have to start to try to figure out how to get there non-accidentally.
Okay.
But yeah.
Just so we know how to incorporate it into the next couple of scenes as your stress level goes up, can you roll for schizophrenia and let us know how short the fuse is and how big the firecracker is?
Let's find out. Well, I rolled a 12, but I'm always at least at a -2. So let me check. If there's anything else about it. Yeah, it's just a -2 to disadvantage rolls, so that's a 10.
Yeah, which is fair to middling.
Yes, just middling.
Yeah,
just barely middling.
Okay. So the telephone in Matthew and Clara's suite rings, and I think that maybe we can agree that is the sound that starts to draw you. It's because it's a mechanical ringer.
Yeah.
So it's not even like a cute little doodly doody doot MP4. It's an honest to God like metal on metal mechanical sound.
Yeah.
It's very, very here. And so it rings and it rings and it goddamn rings, Bethany.
Yeah.
And do you let it go, or do you just hate it from across the suite?
I think she hates it. I think I hate it from across the suite because I think it takes her 3 rings before I can process what that sound is.
Yeah.
It is a sound, and it is a sound that is a mechanical sound, and it is a sound that is a hear sound, and so that's it. But being somewhere so very else, just going, what is that? And it's also in another room, so it's muffled. And what is that? And what is that? And what is that? Oh, it's the telephone. Like, there's a distinct lag before there's even the ability to process it. And then it's not her telephone. So.
And yeah, it's your sibling's telephone. And the reason they're not answering the telephone is because all of you had a big fucking argument.
Yep.
So with a couple of little blurts of electricity into a simple mechanism, Bethany is thoroughly back in the illusion.
Yep.
And into the current moment, which is exactly not where we want her to be. So. So it rings for a period of time, and then the operator says that it seems like there's nobody there. I imagine there's probably a switchboard at the Tropicana.
Probably. And she goes, all right, well, put me through to the other room in the suite.
Okay. So, Bethany, that phone stops. And there's a minute of like, oh, good, that's over.
That's done now, yeah.
And then in your room, the same sound 1,000 times louder, coming with the physical sensation of like crushing glass, like panes of glass being crushed under pig skin against and inside your skin as that damnable machine demands your attention.
Yep, I answer so it makes the noise stop. And by answer, I mean pick up the phone and hold it to my ear. Like fairly close, but I'm just like, it makes the noise stop.
Bethany, are you okay?
Yes. You're
I'm
not.
No. One of my girls is dead. I had to I did it. I had to kill her, but she was dying anyway. It was better this way, and I was going to try to make it look like the person who tried to kill me did it, but I don't know that I can act in front of the police as well as I need to act right now, so I haven't called the police yet. And she's here on the stage. I'm at the theater. She's here, and I don't quite know what to do. And Matthew isn't picking up either, and maybe I should have just called David, but I needed you. I don't know. I'm sorry.
Okay. Stay there. I will come there.
Mm-hmm.
I will come
okay.
there. I will leave a note with in the room. Also, if you want to call and leave a note with the concierge, if he happens to see Matthew first, to say that you're in the theater and he should come meet us there. Okay, leave a note, and I will also tell David, I will bring David with me in case we need him.
Yeah. I don't know if somebody tried to kill me. I think he tried to kill me.
Okay.
I don't know if people are coming after you too, or Matthew. We need to find Matthew. I don't know if it's just.
I don't know where.
Okay, I'm gonna stay here.
You're gonna stay there, and I'm gonna come find you, and we're gonna deal with this. And we've told Matthew where to find us, and we don't know where he went, so I'll leave a note with the concierge, and then I don't have a find your missing sibling magic
I know
radar.
It's okay.
But I will come there, and Matthew will come find us. Okay?
Okay.
Okay.
I love you. I'm sorry. Just be careful. I love you.
Okay.
And Clara does finally hang up.
Bethany's gonna pour herself a drink now. First.
Some liquid cope.
And then and then we'll write a note for Matthew to leave in a suite saying, meet us at the theater. Like, the one in the room is like, meet us in the theater. Someone tried to kill Clara. There's a dead body. It's an emergency. Because cleaning stuff's probably not going to come back in the next couple of hours, so it's fine to say all the things. The one she, when she gets to a concierge or calls in the concierge, she's like, hi, if you see my brother, can you just tell him that our sister's working late in the theater, but she has some questions about the show. Can you just come meet us there? We're going to be in the theater tonight. If you just see him before he goes up to the room, just tell him that he's there. That's where we are.
Yes.
Very blasé version of there's nothing wrong. Don't worry. Just meet us there. And then she's going to go find David.
Yes.
Knock on the door.
David lets you knock.
Yeah.
It is also very clear that David was absolutely on the other side of the door by the time you got to the door.
Mm-hmm.
And so he lets you knock because that's what you're supposed to do. And he opens the door and it is like staring into an oubliette because all of the lights are out because he doesn't need them to see anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So he opens the door and he says in his carbon-bladed flechette voice. I can smell your adrenaline. What's wrong?
Someone attacked Clara. She's not dead. Someone else is, not the person who attacked her. Matthew is missing. We're going to the theater to sort this out. However, can you, since you swore to Matthew, sense where he is?
Yes. Elon, how about you roll 2d10 and tell me how well David can find you?
Sure. 15.
Okay. So a few moments, a brief period of a brief period of indefinite time later. What is Matthew's vibe?
So Matthew's vibe, I would say, like, after he takes some fucking moments to get himself together, is to shove all those feelings down and focus on, I want to say, his anger and disgust at what just happened.
Okay.
So that's the vibe he's got, is I think a lot of anger and a lot of disgust because he doesn't want to think about the vulnerability feelings. And so that's where he's going to go for when he's shaken. And he's probably actually on his way back to the hotel because, you know, after having that experience, he kind of wants to go where he finds solace, and frankly, that's his family.
Yes. So having servants your entire life gives you a sense for them. And so when you feel like the mental presence of David kind of, you know, one step behind, 2 steps to the left, or however he is arranged, when you feel that mental presence, it is that combined with the way someone you know has described bombers flying over London with the lights out is just incomparable destruction moving quietly through the dark. And he clearly cannot communicate with you. This is definitely a very instinctual sort of thing, but there is kind of a, where are you? Where are you? Oh, I know where you are now. Oh, you're moving in the direction I want you to move. Good.
Can I follow that thread back to kind of give a vibe of where he is?
David is coiled violence. And, well, he's always violence, but he's like under tension. Like you can feel you can feel a sense of extrusion, because when David gets violent, things tend to grow out of him. So you kind of get the mental sense that he is either extruding murder or preparing to. But
Concerning.
But not angry and not in fear, but definitely a like,
Preparation.
I'm probably going to have to commit some atrocities in the near future, and that's okay.
Yeah, gonna keep going home, I guess.
David's eyes sheen over with metropolitan steel for a minute, and he stares into some unimaginable distance, and then his head whips up like a pointer's, looking exactly at a particular direction, and he stares in that direction for about 15 seconds and says, he's not hurt, but he's very upset, and he's on his way back to the hotel.
Then We should go to Clara. I've left notes for him to find us in the theater.
Okay.
And Bethany will, because she is still wearing a dressing gown, actively just put a coat on. Like, full on, just have time for this shit. She's just going to put a coat on to go to the theater about life, because getting dressed takes too long. And that's...
Yeah, coat, flats, and an attitude, huh?
Yeah, that's where we are. And
okay.
a David, so...
Yes.
Everyone can just leave her alone.
The ultimate of scary dog privileges.
Yep. Yes,
So yeah, the notes are left. You know, the concierge, who Bethany, like, it's fine, everything is fine, it's fine, everything is fine. But kind of as you walk past, the casino is very loud tonight for some unknown reason. Maybe it's a sensitivity on your end, but the casino is very loud. And so when you get to the concierge and start talking to them, you have to kind of look down at the counter, because underneath their skin are poker chips and dice. Just like the people in, just like the things in the vitriol people in Metropolis had stone underneath their face, and you can kind of hear the chips sliding against their teeth when they talk. So,
yeah, that's super not great.
No.
Cool. But yeah, so it becomes a much ramblier and then slightly distracted message that's trying to be like very normal and like, oh, we're just going to the theater, like, tell our brother to meet us there, our sister's working late, and instead becomes slightly more like looking down at the desk a little too long and like, oh, we're just doing a thing. And so she realizes she's being weird, so she starts to try to play shy. Like, oh, I just want to look at this guy. I'll be shy about it. Can you tell my brother when you see him, if you see him, to meet us at the theater? Thank you so much. And then leaves like as fast as she can to get out of the noise place.
The concierge, who has in turns figured that Bethany is A, drunk, or B, about to go have herself an indiscretion. And this is not the first rodeo for these things for a concierge at the Tropicana 1957.
Yeah. No, that's fine.
Yeah, they take it very well in stride, and they do it. Extracting information from drunk and or otherwise befuddled people is part of the skill set, so it's fine.
It's fine. Yes. Great. So goes to meet Clara with the notion that Matthew will be not long behind.
Yes.
Yeah.
And as you turn, David presses a bill onto the table and just very quietly says, "For your discretion."
Yes, good. Thank you, sir.
I honestly feel like, and you can say no, that they might end up like seeing Matthew in the parking lot or right out front because of timing and Bethany putting coat on, but also rambling message, and Matthew trying to get back quicker.
Yeah. I mean, I'm assuming that the theater is attached to the Tropicana, so we're not leaving the internals of the hotel. But I'm pretty sure we could have run into him on the way, or he's not long behind us. Like 5 minutes or something. Yeah.
What do you want to do, Elon? You have an opinion on that?
I kind of like the idea of running into each other, because I think that that's kind of like a good thematics. Matthew is a mask of just blank determination. Like it's a thing of very much that sort of expression when you're trying not to have an expression of like, we're not gonna be making these facial muscles move right now. When he kind of like strides into the Tropicana, he's still a bit more disheveled than he probably should be in public. His tie's undone. He didn't leave especially shoveled, and so he remains more so. So I think that he basically is striding in And as he gets closer, if he can like sense David is basically beelining anyway, and sees Bethany in her coat. And also notices that Clara's not with them. And like, I feel like Bethany can see the like math going on of like David is ready for a possible fight. Bethany is standing without having gotten fully prepared. Well, okay. I'm going to really quickly roll my disadvantage because I feel like I probably should to see how Matthew's looking.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly.
And I'm at a -1 due to the stability issue from last time. The answer is I'm not doing great. Just gonna check on this, but I'm pretty sure it's not great. There it is. Disadvantages. Thank you. The answer is that I need to endure an injury.
Wow.
Yeah, I rolled an 8.
Oof.
And so the question, after the endure injury aspect, though, I am going to be rolling to keep it together because he is going to be trying to Determinator through this. Because showing weakness right now is not a thing he wants to do in front of anyone whatsoever.
For sure, dude.
So my condition is aggravated with life-threatening results. Which fits with the shit that's just went down, quite frankly. Endure injury with 2 harm.
So you roll endure injury with a -2 is how that works.
Yeah.
I can do this.
And statistically, you could, yes.
Statistically, I just rolled a 19. I'm like, okay, bro. What's his fortitude? My fortitude is 0, so 19 -1, or -2. So that is still 17.
Yeah.
You ride out the pain and keep going.
Yeah.
I'd like to try to do you feel like even with that I should need to roll to keep like basically to like act like nothing's currently happening? Essentially, how much can he hide what's going on is what
I'd like to actually
out.
I'd like to put that in our back pocket until Matthew
let's
sees
put that
how bad Clara is.
Because that's perfect for me.
Right now, he's face tanking his own bullshit, but as soon as he sees Clara, I think that's going to be, if anything, the thing that's going to cause an eruption.
That's great. I'm here for that. So, like, right now, he's just like, as long as no one touches me, they don't know how much I am feverish.
And I bookkeeping rolled Bethany's 6th sense, and I rolled a 14, and it's plus soul, so that's an 18. So
great.
So
nice.
When we need those,
yeah, you got 3 chips in your back pocket.
I got 3 chips about that. Yeah.
Good.
Here we go.
All right. So, let us meet with Clara. Let us enter into Clara's scene. As you know, just for a brief moment, David just stares at Matthew, and that like, yeah. And then escorts them both with rigid discipline to the hotel, to the theater. So Clara, as they open the back doors of the theater, tell us what's up?
She has managed to put her dress back on. So she's gotten herself dressed. She's still probably covered in some of Marie's blood because she just sat there on the stage holding her after she shot the woman. And it's probably soaked through her dress. So Clara looks in a white dress and is covered in some blood, not a massive amount, but definitely some. It's definitely on her knees from where she was kneeling on the stage next to Marie. She's gotten a stage black curtain and laid it over top of the woman's body. And that's about as far as Clara's brain could do. She is in shock otherwise. The stage and the room looks like there was a massive party and orgy here. There are drinks everywhere. There's clothes everywhere that people forgot because Clara did rush people out of there pretty quickly when she dismissed them. Surfaces covered in bodily fluids and booze and what have you. The room smells like sex and booze.
Mm-hmm.
Probably, and blood, because there's a fuck ton of blood on the stage.
Mm-hmm.
The illusion is probably still weak here. Marie's ghost went somewhere. She watched that spirit soul leave her body and go to another realm. Clara did a massive amount of magic and sex magic and did her art here. So she's kind of been ripping holes in the illusion all night through all of this. I have no clue how that feels to anybody else, but to her, she's half in reality, half in the lie, half in reality. And totally in shock and covered in blood. And there's a lump on the stage and probably blood leaking out from under it because she just let the woman bleed until she died. And whatever ichor is left from what the guy left behind, if it's in Marie's body or if it's leaked out on the stage.
There doesn't seem to be a puddle, for better or for worse. But on the other hand, that was probably the reason why you covered up Marie's body as quickly as you did, because I could imagine Clara's imagination running wild.
Oh yeah,
with the eventual effects of that. So I imagine that she just said, if I cover it up, I don't have to deal with it.
Not for the moment. And if somebody other than her family walked in the door, she didn't want them to see immediate dead body. She's sitting there on the edge of the stage, upright, slightly shaking, a bottle of something next to her that she's been drinking. And that's where she is.
The air here reminds you two, in a way, of Saint Dimphna's. In the way that the air is so full of something that you can almost feel it as it enters your nose. It's not the same hallucinogenic mushrooms prophetic, but the idea that there is so much of something powerful in the air that it is affecting the sensory experience of breathing is here, and there is a deep sense that something has excuse me big yawn, that there has either been a consecration, a desecration, or possibly both. That somehow the nature and state of this place has been changed. And the only comment that David makes to begin with is he just says, "Cordite, brains, someone got shot in the head."
I did it. I'm sorry. Thank you for she was dying. Whatever he meant to do to me, he did to her. instead, and it was awful. And nobody should die that slow or that miserably. So I shot her just to put her out of her misery, because she didn't deserve that. She didn't deserve that at all. It was really bad. I didn't fuck him. And she kind of looks up and momentarily looks at Matthew and then looks back down. She's disassociating a little bit. She's not really registering. I didn't fuck him because I love you, and I wasn't going to be disloyal like that. But I directed it. We did. Everything was really good until that happened. There was a lot of power here. I think there still might be, but he tried. He wanted to fuck me. He wanted to do that to me. And he did it to her instead. And poor Marie. She's under the sheet. I couldn't look at her anymore. Sorry.
Matthew will walk over to Clara and just kind of... He doesn't know what's going on. He doesn't know what the fuck is happening. So his first instinct is just to hold her so that she can feel that he is there. He's a little furnace right now. But, you know, he's also there, and he's solid, and he is stroking her hair. And as he kind of holds her to him, Bethany can see that he is staring at that lump under the blanket, like under the sheet, because he is clearly like, if he was not hugging Clara, would be looking under that sheet.
Yeah. Yeah. Bethany doesn't want to look at the sheet yet. She has a thought and she doesn't want to share it yet. And so what she does want to do is give the two of them a moment of privacy. So she's going to go to Clara's dressing room and find, at the very least, a robe, if not a change of clothes. And there's going to be a sink there and a washcloth. And so she's going to get that so that, that 5 minutes, and she'll just bring it back out so that they can clean Clara up so that she's not bloody anymore, or sitting in blood, or like coated in it, and can be in something that isn't covered in Marie's blood anymore. First,
Clara does lean against Matthew and is like shaking. He can feel that tremble of like, and she leans into him and goes, "I love you so much, and I was mad, and this was stupid, and I thought I would just, maybe I would fix things or prove to all of you that I can do this, that I want to get us to Metropolis. And the show is not about the illusion. The show isn't about Las Vegas. The show is about us and our power. And I did do something. I did, but somebody with bright blue eyes and tan skin and a suit that looked like a steel city he had power of some sort. I don't know what he is, but and a purple fucking, I'm sorry, I know I'm not making a lot of sense, Matthew, and I love you so much. I'm so sorry. He had a purple her kerchief in his suit pocket that looked like the Phoenix Society, that was that color. But he said he belongs to nobody and no societies. He just waltzed in here like he owned the place, acted like he did, like he had a right to myself or my girls, and I didn't let him touch me like that because he doesn't. But poor Marie.
Did he convince her?
She didn't deserve that. What?
Did he convince her to be with him?
He wanted me. He wanted to have sex with me. He absolutely did. But he didn't force himself. I gave him close to what he wanted. I gave him Marie, and she knew, other than the fucking dying thing, she knew what she was getting into. We all knew what we were doing tonight, but after he enjoyed himself, after he finished, whatever he put into her when he finished was blackness and sickness, and it was like putting tar into somebody's soul, into their spirit. He poisoned her magically, and it was eating the inside of her body from the inside out. And that was meant for me.
I'm glad it didn't happen to you. It's going to be all right. We're going to fix this. We are. And he will
So that is what
stroke her
happened.
hair and hold her. And just kind of parse over what he just heard while he looks around the room. But it's clear that his focus is right now on just grounding Clara and giving her something to focus on and something to hold until Bethany's able to come back with the washcloth.
Mm-hmm.
But there's definitely a lot that it seems like he's holding back from saying. There's a lot of pauses when he speaks, but his focus seems to be on, you're safe now. It's going to be okay. We're here now.
I should have shot him. I don't know if it would have worked or done any good. I should have shot him too. I threatened to, and I said if I ever see him again, I will kill him, and I do mean that.
Did he give you a name?
What?
Did he give you a name?
George. I'm certain it wasn't a real name, and he didn't give me a last name, but that's what he said. Poor Marie.
I'm glad you're all right. Physically, at least.
Yes, I didn't let him touch me.
Good. Was the right choice.
I wanted to, and she's kind of looking for Bethany too, but she would. I wanted to call police and accuse him of shooting her. I don't know how we set that up. It is definitely my gun and my fingerprints on that gun. And I don't think I have anything around here that has his fingerprints on it. I don't know. Maybe some parts of the stage, maybe a drink glass. Did he ever take a drink, or was he just interested in? No, I didn't think so.
I mean, he had his hands all over Marie.
Yep.
But lifting fingerprints off of skin and transferring them is not really a 57 kind of thing.
Clara, if he's able to do something, magically poison her, and he's connected to the Phoenix Society, I don't think that normal police are going to be able to have anything stick on him. We can try, but he might need to be dealt with in less conventional means.
When David and Bethany come back, we'll all figure something out.
Figure it out.
David kind of stalked around for a little bit, clearing the room, safetying the area. And then he's been perched like a raven next to the body underneath the bag, looking very hard at it. He hasn't lifted the covering, but he is looking at it in that dispassionate, interested way. The kind of way someone might put their hands on their hips and stare into an engine trying to discern by sight what's wrong.
Clara does finally just start crying. She leans into Matthew's chest, and she's still definitely in shock. So she's probably ice cold. Matthew having a fever feels great right now.
Did it for you, babe.
Yeah. So leans against him and just falls apart until Bethany comes back and it's time to do things. But
yeah,
while they're in waiting, she just lets herself fall apart.
Yeah.
Matthew was excited to have anything that isn't dealing with his own current emotions. So he rocks her back and forth. He murmurs sweet nothings. He's trying to comfort her best he can. And focuses completely on her. And trying to, actually warm her up. Because he doesn't know how shock works, but he knows that her being ice cold is probably not great.
Yes.
Yeah. Bethany's not gone for that long. It's 5 minutes maybe, because it's just to the president and back. And she'll come back and she'll have things. Let's get you cleaned up.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. I can. Yes.
And then we'll figure out what we should do.
Yeah.
But I think
yes.
Think a little better when you're not covered in her blood. So she will help Clara take off all the bloody clothes and then help her, or give the bowl to Matthew if you would prefer to wash her. She's not being selfish about this, whatever. But
no, he's kind of the scenes. He's gonna let Bethany take the lead on the washing, probably just because
yeah,
they're ladies.
Yeah.
So sorry. But like,
but yeah, no. So Bethany will go and yes, wash the blood off and hand Clara the robe to put on.
Yeah, Clara slowly starts kind of pulling herself together, but slow, and it's messy. And pulling the dress off, it's clear once she pulls the dress off that she was only in the slip whenever this happened, because the slip is a murder scene. Is completely covered in blood, and that she's not wearing any underwear otherwise. So she ends up like naked.
Yeah, she's naked on the stage. I'm just gonna wash the blood.
Yeah, naked on the stage.
Yep.
Pile of bloody clothes. But does get all of the blood off, and then pulls into a robe and feels a little better for it, and has stopped crying by that point. Well, you know what? I'm just gonna roll to keep it together.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. I think that during this time, what Matthew's doing is actually going over to David to murmur, just like, we're going to need to start cleaning up this together. He's going to go actually probably while like do a reverse Bethany and actually go find a fucking bucket.
Okay.
Because like there's only so long that he's sort of like, eventually we're going to need to deal with this body in this murder scene.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay, well, Clara's definitely not done crying. Yeah, because that was a failure. I have negative willpower. So that ended up being an 8. I feel like after what she went through,
reasonable,
understandable, and reasonable.
Yeah.
Reasonable. Yeah. It's okay.
You can see the moment where Clara's like, I can do this. I've got it. Like, she's just trying to keep her shit together. And then she kind of like looks over at the slip on the floor and just is the I got her killed. I killed her.
Yeah, you did.
You did. Well, we're gonna take care of her. Okay, we're gonna take care of her now.
She does manage to put the robe on, so she's not naked anymore, but it's just a wreck standing there.
Matthew, David kind of follows you as you seem to stride somewhere with purpose, because it seems like Bethany and Clara, while not okay, are stationary. So he follows you, and this is when you go to get a bucket?
Essentially, like, he's basically looking to, like, we're going to have to start moving things and dealing with things. And though I have influential friends, usually those influential friends aren't used for murder scenes.
No, they're not.
But yeah, so that's sort of where he's going on. Also, he's because of the fact that David is kind of connected to him. I feel like there's a level where it's clear that he's also moving so that he's not going to say what's on his mind, which is better that she died than you. She did what she was supposed to. She did what she was supposed to. She died for Clara, so that Clara didn't. Like, there is a level of relief that, like, he has right now of, like, oh, thank goodness, her minion stepped in front of the bullet for her, as is appropriate. And so, like, he's like, there's a level of, like, he has been comforted by hearing what happened, because he's like, oh, things are still right and good and people are still doing what they're supposed to do, which is horrible, but it's also something that he knows if he vocalized near Clara would not go over well right now. And he doesn't know how to comfort her without that coming out. So like, I feel like I want to just like verbalize that like that's hard to get across in just a lot of facial expressions. But that's definitely where like sort of Matthew is right now. And also leaving every so often allows him to cough a bunch when he's not in the room with everybody else. Because he's been having to suppress that a lot.
David clearly David. And so he doesn't really bring up a lot of conversations, but what he does do is with a extremely expert hand, get a wash the blood out of a place bucket of soap and water going.
Bless David.
And seems to have a undescribed by me because I don't know it, but a clearly like, you know, a really good bartender where they just like this, and it's perfect. Like that's David with a murder scene soaps. So it's like a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and he looks over and like finds some laundry soap and like puts a little bit in and apparently has himself some kind of a specialty crime scene blend, which he then
That's
brings
delightful.
out. Yeah. And he looks at Matthew and he says, before we do any of this, we're going to have to look at that body.
Yes.
I'm going to have to look at that body.
We should look at that body.
Yeah. It's going to be bad.
I know. Any tips?
Okay. When David and Matthew walk out, Bethany, David gets your attention with his eyes and looks at the body and looks back at you in the we're going to deal with the thing now face.
Yeah. Bethany's going to turn Clara so that her back is to the body.
Yeah.
Unless Clara figures out what she's doing and wants to see.
Yeah, no, Clara doesn't fight her, but goes, no. This is my sin. This is my doing. I will witness. She deserves that.
You don't have to. But you can. The rest of us all will look. You know what happened. You were there.
I know. But she was my best. She was supposed to be my best. She was supposed to be my heir. She was supposed to be my David. And now I will witness this. I will witness her.
Okay. So she will lead Clara over to the body so they can all look at it.
All right. So I am going to presume that at least two of you are going to, as soon as I finish the descriptive monologue, say, I'm going to roll ha-da-da-da-da. Like,
yeah, I feel like we should do that in advance.
Yeah. So how about you roll all of your tell me more skills, whatever you'd like to use.
Oh, I thought you were talking about our that we're all gonna have to keep it together.
Oh yeah, that's probably gonna happen too, but I was thinking more like
magic stuff.
Magical intuition and yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got a total of 14 for magical intuition.
Good.
And I got a 13 for the same.
I like it when things work.
I was gonna I'm gonna do a stupid thing because
Do it.
I'm rolling for enhanced awareness.
Mm-hmm.
Go for it.
Do it.
Yeah, I really hope I don't tank this roll. Oh, we might be okay because I think that's soul.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
soul.
Yeah, soul. It's plus
Is
soul.
it okay?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's my soul. Here it is. Okay, we're okay. I scraped by that 10.
Right.
Only because my soul is 3.
Yeah.
Okay.
Woo!
It's all right. If you accidentally open the door, we could just dump the body in and we would make you do it on purpose.
No, I bring some awful entity through.
You do.
Because I
I
tear
know.
the illusion if I fail that. It's not good. It's
No,
okay.
It's a bad thing.
I'm also going to roll now just for keep it together so I just know if I'm
Okay.
because like
it is gonna be a horror show.
Yeah, like I feel like Matthew is like he's like, yeah, I'm gonna look at this, yeah, I'm gonna deal with that. But like he's sick and he has been drinking and he's about to see a really horrifyingly mutilated body.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it makes sense that like I'm gonna make sure that I'm not gonna then just immediately throw up. Let's be honest.
Mm-hmm.
He wants to be a badass about this, but like
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
I got 14.
Okay.
I did not. I rolled an 8 and it's plus willpower, which is 2. So that's 10. But I have a -1 to keep it together. So that's 9.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well,
there you go.
So, all right, we'll do the descriptions. We've got our rolls, and then we'll.
Yep, we know how
Yeah.
to act.
Clara has a sense of Clara has a classical sense. And so when she kind of tried to put Marie into some order before she covered her, which was the very least she could do, she centered her head, facing up and got it generally straight, and she kind of got her hands probably over her chest or maybe like this, depending on, where the body wanted to move. So Marie was beautiful. If you could imagine this, at least this up, carved in a marble or a limestone that sat on top of the tomb of a noble lady, it would be entirely believable. The proportions are perfect, and she was absolutely devastatingly beautiful. And then slightly underneath her ribcage, things start to go very wrong very quickly. You can see kind of as the body cavity itself, like the separation of the diaphragm, as the body cavity itself seems to be something is pushing, not in real time, but something is pushing out of it in weird kind of crystalline shapes. Like there's like as if something grew and crystallized underneath her skin. And in places where it has broken through, where a jutting crystal found itself like against the hip, so it poked through the skin, it is this dark, veinous, rusty kind of ore, but not. Like you could say that it looks like wrought iron, but you could also say that it looks like some kind of a rock-based ore, because it has those thick lines and whorls in it. of old-fashioned wrought iron, but it has crystallized all through her abdomen and pressed out through her body. And you can see, Clara, you know that the skin underneath it, around her pelvis and her abdomen, did essentially deflate as everything inside her liquefied. And so the way this stuff, when it crystallized and solidified and stretched out through her body, you know that part of the reason why this is such a grotesque deformation is because she was an empty sack underneath there. And it is a little bit like bismuth, where it crystallizes at a very low temperature. And so it is a crackling grotesquerie that continues to, I'm not move like something malevolent, but move as if you are watching glacial action at a fast reel, where you can almost see these stones forming and building off of each other, and crystals latticing together. And you have seen many people dead. You have brought many people to dead. You committed a not insignificant genocide. And this is one of the most dead people you have ever seen. It lends her an air of swollen starvation, bloated, because her legs, the tissue and everything inside her thighs had started to dissolve, so her legs are too thin and the stomach is very bloated, so there is a kind of a starvation bloat look to her. And the smell is dry and slightly alchemic.
Is the stuff, it's moving, does it seem to still be growing?
Yeah, that's what, imagine if the crystals are still very slowly growing.
Yeah.
From the center, as it crystallizes, its volume increases.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's like it's crystallizing up out from the middle.
Yeah. Well, that's not good. I don't know what that stuff is, but I don't think it should be here.
And Bethany, it is poison, poison, poison. It is the creeping rot of illusion. It is what giving up looks like. This is what happens to everyone. They die and their bodies rot and they turn into other things, and everything that, and unless you get out of here, unless you get out of this illusion, this is what's going to happen to you. You're going to die and you're going to go into the ground and you're going to turn into wet human soup, and then you're going to turn into something else, and you are something else. So you're not going to just go and become a beautiful tree like other people. You are going to turn into a mess of thing. And you are going to die and you are going to rot in the ground in a beautiful gilded casket. Someone who looks like you is going to crack it open and drink you like soup.
Yep. Mm. Mm. Mm.
We,
Mm.
I don't know that I want to I don't know where to put her body, because
Nowhere
we
here.
can't just dump her in the desert like this.
No.
No.
Mhm.
One
Matthew-
police officer sees this, one coroner sees this, they'll quarantine the city and they'll call the proving grounds because they'll figure out something related to the testing.
Matthew will close Marie's eyes. And he will examine the ore, as you expected that he might do, because he's managing to keep it together. For all that he feels a lot of feelings about this whole thing almost happening to Clara. But he looks at it with the sort of dissociated look of someone who looks at ores quite a lot.
Yes.
And looks at this sort of thing and like focuses on that aspect of it to ground himself. And tries to understand what the nature of this thing is. Which is through the magical intuition, but also just through like his own sort of intrinsic understanding of both the illusion and what is not the illusion that he has so far gotten.
It looks like it was a thing of two stages. It looks like there was something put inside her that melted her body and would have eventually killed her. But then it was almost as if, almost naturally, from the result of that assassination, this arose. This is like flowers on a saint's grave. Kind of, but not.
Almost like a byproduct?
Like a byproduct, yeah. Almost as if something or some place or some great power was drawn so close in this moment that it left a mark on the world.
I'm going to use the second thing for it. I have learned where the illusion is weakest towards other dimensions. There was the whole working of magic that Clara did here that permeates everything, but does it feel like a different type of mark was left on Marie?
Yes. This is hot red metal and bloody sand and rusting girders and an endless flaming sky. This is Inferno. So whoever George was, he came hell into Marie.
He aimed to do the antithesis of what you were trying to create, Clara. We won't let this ruination be something that is without vengeance. Marie will have that.
Yes, she will. I will murder this man. I'm going to murder this man. I should have done it already.
We need and he will pause and he'll look at Bethany and he'll look at Clara and he'll say, I want to purify this. This is hell. This is the rusted core. But we can have the city. We can make this something beautiful. We can take this and make it into something that makes it so that Marie is never forgotten. Not like this, but a symbol to what she was.
The shittiest thing. I mean, the shittiest thing is that she is dead. That somebody did this. But other than that, and Clara looks at Bethany when she says this, I thought you were going to be so proud of me. I did magic here tonight. There was magic. I created something. I feel like I opened something. I gained believers. There is at least one man, I think, that will come back and will follow me to the ends of the world. Not in the sick, fucked up way that some men want to, but in the he believes in Metropolis without ever knowing what Metropolis means. And these girls will already do worship Metropolis. This was powerful, and this is what we have been looking to do. And this is a way to break this illusion and show other people how fucking powerful we are. And then he sullied it. Didn't ruin it. There's still power here, and we can bring the power back, and I still have it. But you're right, we need to purify her. And this.
Can we transmute it? Because
that's what I was thinking.
Is power. And you're right. I think that we should ensure that he can never get his hands on Marie or this power that he left here. Again, we should remove her from this place. But before we take her somewhere like Metropolis that she sacrificed herself for, we should transmute what he did to her so that we have not brought Inferno to that place.
Exactly.
I agree. Now we just need to find out how we're going to do that.
Because timeline on this one. I don't have research books for this moment.
I don't think that that we need a book for this.
Good.
This is what we are.
It works better without the books.
This power that you've created, Clara, I can feel it in the air. We have something here that we can use, and I know that we can.
How? It's here. I can taste it. I don't want to say drank it. I consumed his worship. Mm-hmm. And I had power. I had energy. That was better than any fucking drug or any bit of alcohol or anything I have ever consumed. The power that I took from him. And it is still in me somewhere. I just don't know how to let it out. I don't know if there's a ritual circle. I don't know.
Let's try and contain this growth and transmute it first. Make sure that we have this power and that it is ours to control, and that you will use it in a way that honors Marie. She's no longer your first knight. She's instead your first martyr.
Yes. Bethany, you say you work better without books. Direct us.
Okay.
Take us through something.
Well, let's have a pause and a talk.
Yeah, because I've got a lot of ideas. Cool. I got ideas.
Think out loud.
So like the idea that I kind of had, because you were talking so much about it sort of feeling like this sort of like raw, unforged like ore, right? and Metropolis has so many concepts of like forging down and altering and, you know, using raw materials or people as raw materials in a really like sometimes almost always horrible way. And so the concept that I kind of had was something in which like they're probably going to need to cut poor Maria open to get to like the fullness of what is in her. And so that's going to be an entire experience, especially for poor Clara. But once we have that like exposed, you know, I think that the three of them can do like perhaps, I don't know, like touching the ore, talking about how it's being transmuted metaphysically in a way, like not the concept of the ore and the concept of Marie too, because I loved the idea of like Marie is the first martyr. Like that idea of that, like that I was also talking about with like how like the way that, you know, Matthew is seeing this is she gave her life so that Clara could live. Did she do it with full understanding that that was what she was doing? Absolutely not. But like in the idea of how Matthew views the world, like, you know, the subordinate gave her life and laid it down so that like this queen could live. And there is power in that hierarchy for him. So I feel like it fits really well with his paradigm. And then Clara just created all this energy, and her power seems to be so focused around love, right? Like the concept of adoration. And she loved Marie. Like it's clear, like she actually did have like deep emotional connections. This was supposed to be her night. So I think that like that taps into Clara's really well also. And man, Bethany's just got all sorts of shit. I don't even want to speak, like, I don't even want to like say, because you've got like, I don't want to. And also obviously Erica, if you have like other ideas for your stuff, I just thought that was like, that immediately was what like clicked in my head. But like, yeah. Also Ben, your RST. Sorry.
So Maria is the name of the woman that the robot in the Metropolis movie impersonates.
That's amazing.
Forgive my bad
I didn't
German,
actually know that.
the Maschinen's Mensch does not have a name. The woman she is modeled after is named Maria.
I didn't know that, and that's a whole mind trip.
Yeah.
So my question is, what if you make Maria into the Maschinen's Mensch?
Into the what?
Into the robot from Metropolis.
Oh shit.
Why don't you turn her into the eternal robot who impersonates Marie?
Yeah.
And essentially turn her into a walking reliquary.
But she's her own reliquary. Yeah.
That's so fucking cool.
That's so good.
Because also it means that she's both in a way, at that point, she's both the first martyr of Clara's whole thing and also still Clara's first night.
Yeah.
At the same time. Because like, are you talking about like that she would be like a like thinking being? Or are you talking about just something that is like a statue? Because it's not the same person.
Yeah, sure. Her soul is somewhere.
Gone.
But it might be like, I don't know if you're saying that like it could create someone who is a like sentient being, but just a new person. Just like a statue.
I think that you could make something. I think within reason. I think that like it seems reasonable in this moment, and with the stated desire to push the Van Horsts towards enlightenment
Mhm.
and kind of engage with that style of play. I don't think you could make an intelligent creature, but I do think you could make an automaton capable of
Okay,
hitting
yeah.
capable of hitting their marks during the show.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's so
And so
tragic.
as the machine woman is presented in the Metropolis story, it is what remains of Marie.
Yes.
And so you have this naturally occurring, this built-in like magical tool.
Yeah.
What do you think, Erica?
Oh, I love it. I'm totally up for it. Yeah.
Okay?
I think in this moment, Clara's going to need deep guidance from Matthew and Bethany because all she's got is some power and a whole bunch of shock. But
Mhm.
I like going to that end. Like getting
Yeah.
there is beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
How about
It is
we
also
take
10 to 10. Do we want to take our break
I was
and
going
then
to
come
say
back?
let's all
Yeah.
take a couple of minutes and
Yeah.
do it, refresh our brains because we're going from trauma now into magical theory, and that's several.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking
Cool.
about the
All
lathe
right.
that we have at work that has like 3 different gears for adjusting things, and it's these big clunky gear adjusted. It's like magic theory in my head. So,
But yeah, I think it's also just a really cool way of like taking this thing that was like a harm against them and turning it into something that is power for them. And I think that that's very in theme for KULT in a lot of ways.
yeah, I mean, it's turning your trauma to your power is absolutely a good theme. And I also like the fact that instead of being like, let's make it go away, it's let's do some magic about it. You know, let's shatter the illusion about it.
Yeah.
Which I'm a big fan
like that.
Yeah.
So
Cool.
Awesome.
we are going to take 5, and we will see you guys in a couple of minutes. Hello, welcome back to the Place of Wrath and Tears. We're gonna do some fucking magic, and it's gonna be cool. So yeah. I don't really feel like there's any extra content warnings, so I think that we can just kind of roll right into what we've discussed. So, how about you guys re-preface what your plan is?
So the goal is essentially to make Marie in a lot of ways her own reliquary, and also make her the Maria of the story, the automaton based on Maria, the true Maria.
True.
And I think that we talked a little bit about how like we wanted to do this as like showing how the very different types of ways that the Van Horsts are approaching things work together as a whole as well.
Yeah, they do.
But I think that the first thing, and one of the harder things that Matthew is going to need to ask David for is we have to cut open Marie to get to what is inside of her. And I think that the way that Matthew basically prefaces it, he says, there are 2 options for us to be able to expose what is within Marie. And one of them is that we can ask if David can assist. But Clara, if you feel that it would be more respectful to her for you to do so, he can tell you what to do. I don't want to take that out of your eyes.
David, help me. And if you two, because you two are slightly better at magic than I am. If you two can start preparing, however, we're going to cleanse the stuff in her, once we get it out of her. You two can start, and David and I will get it out of her.
Okay.
Right.
Clara, the look that David gives you is one of profound, nigh infinite compassion. Not pity, but that look of, yep, I've had to cut someone apart that I cared about too. Like, I know exactly how this is going to feel.
Yeah.
So
She nods back to him and goes, whatever knife or equipment you have on you think is best, please give it to me and start instructing.
Yeah. He hands her a pocket knife that has the very distinct curve and texture and look of one that is decades old. This is his trusty knife, probably that he's had with him at least since Korea. So, and he walks you through the process of exposing the body, of dissection. He is polite, and he is trying very hard to be humane for you. Is the labor that he's putting in. He is trying to slow down the words that he's using, and he's trying to make sure that when he uses verbs, they are a kinder verb. You know, so instead of saying we need to peel all of the skin off, he says we need to expose the ribs. Like, he's trying. It is an effort, but he is actively attempting to use language that is not as heartbreakingly butcher shop as possible.
Clara's going to try to do a thing. And tell me what you want me to roll, or that this might not work. She's going to try to dive into Forbidden Inspiration again while doing this. Because bearing Marie and cutting her open is, one, an incredibly intimate act, but is the start of the reshaping. This is the start of what Marie will become. And David, and the reason she's doing this is as David starts coaching her, and David is an expert artist at murder and at pulling bodies apart. And David is coaching Clara's hands like an expert painter, just with a dissection. And so she is dropping into David's headspace. And with every moment of expertise he gives her, she says, come closer. Tell me more. Put your hands on me. Guide my hands. Guide my blade. And it is definitely intimate. This is a show of love. And she is asking David to show her how he loves by dissecting someone.
Well, that's real complicated to think about, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, it is.
I just want to take a moment, because I'm sure it's going to come up, because like intimate and sex and all of these things are all connected.
Yeah.
Explicitly stated, to say something explicitly that has been very clearly implied, David is ace. David's aceness is not a result of his dehumanization or his trauma.
Mhm.
David being Ace is a thing that David was a human. So like David is not Ace because he's fucked up. He is fucked up, and also, by the way, he's Ace. So just as we get into this emotional, intimate scenario, if sex, lack thereof comes up, I wanted to make it very clear that these are, but causation is not correlation.
And I will say, when Clara is inviting him into this space and inviting him to create and destroy with her at the same time, and implying the words love without using it, because this is a loving act. It is platonic love. It is artistic love. It is passion. This is not a thing that Clara is doing sexually, and she's not going to do anything sexually with David. It is you're an expert. You are Bob Ross. You are a painter. And let me close my eyes while you do your art, and your hands are on my hands, so we create art together.
Yes. As we ventured into this intimacy, I just whatever in my head wanted to make sure that those things were distinct and defined.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I definitely appreciate it.
Yeah.
So it takes David a little bit to accept the level of intimacy that Clara demands from him. Like, murder has always been a very private thing for him. And, the serial killing stuff has always been extra private for him. So the idea that he is now sharing this with the Van Horsts is as naked as David has ever been.
Yep.
These are his secret knowledges. These are his secret things that he holds closest to him. These experiences and these guidances. And so it takes him a minute to find the comfort and Matthew in this moment of being open. Both to your sisters, and in many ways to David, who is right here and is being open. In this moment, you get a crystal clear image, like 4K perfect, of Clara putting on one of David's shoes. And somehow that being a mental reference point for what he's experiencing. And you recognize the clothes that she's wearing, and this is before the knighting, so clearly there was, it's not sexual, obviously. It's definitely an act of service and all of that stuff. But it seems like David is using that moment to remind himself that this has already happened. Like that there has been kind of a minor, a flip-flop of roles for the sake of utility. And so, yes, David, Clara, David does teach you, or at least show with you, his secret, hidden, sacred arts of breaking down, of dissection, of removal, of taking apart, of the dehumanization of the human form. And much like when you saw Marie's soul leave and get folded into the infinity, there is another sense that no one has ever been. Sorry, guys. Excuse me. No one has ever been more naked. No one has ever been more nude, more exposed than Marie is right now. And so she has been delicately and lovingly opened up, where her ribs have been spread and the breastbone has been very carefully removed, and the ribs have been opened up. And so now the full crystal structure, this creaking or crystal thing is now fully exposed. And for better or for worse, it clearly grew from the gut. So it is there. It could be removed, or you could probably just begin the transmutation right here.
Yeah.
If you intend to incorporate all of these remains into the final act, it's not necessary to remove this piece and then you put it back in.
Yeah.
So.
Matthew watches this, and there's a level of like sort of awe at like just this. He so rarely gets to see like when Clara is actually doing her forbidden inspiration. He's seen it, and usually because either we're in a stressful environment or he's not there at the time, and so there's just a level of just like watching her in her passion that he seems very transfixed by, not in like a ooh sexy way, but just in a this is her magic way.
There is a moment.
Okay, I was going to say I'm going to roll for it. And since Matthew is watching, and I think Bethany hopefully is too, there's a moment where you can see Clara's brain turn, and she's going into forbidden inspiration and going into that art and asking David to go deeper, because on the edge of not keeping it together, if she does not see Marie as art and she doesn't see this as work and she doesn't dehumanize what is happening beneath her, she's going to completely lose her shit and not be able to do this ritual and not be able to kill all the magic we need.
Yeah.
So Clara's going into the one place where she can disassociate easily, which is her art and her passion. And if I'm being an actor, I don't have to think about this as a human.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so you can see like her hand has started to shake as David has started to tell her to cut. And then she just stops and takes a breath and goes, David, tell me why her sternum is beautiful when we cut it open. And then tell me how to cut to make it beautiful.
Matthew, this is probably going to be the only moment in your entire life that you are in some masculine way jealous of David. Because the look that he gives Clara is one of raw, awestruck intimacy. And when he starts describing this, Clara, and this is the thing I wanted to describe earlier, and this is perfect because once again we feed into each other so well, and it's thrilling, is that as you say, just tell me why this is beautiful, tell me why this is like this, tell me what this means to you. David's hand motions start to get not theatrical, but almost balletic, like ballet, whatever that word is, where his fingers are running along graceful curves, and now there is a little bit of this in the motion. Like they're not extra motions, but when he does something, it has that slow, smooth, like, that thing. The thing that takes a simple task and turns it from a task into an art. And it is that description and the way he runs his fingers across each piece of cartilage that joins the ribs to the sternum, like a lover runs their fingers down a curve of an exposed spine underneath the skin, where you can recognize the intimacy and the wonder that he holds for humans and for their bodies and their shapes, but in this way. is this war angel, is this murder saint enraptured by the flesh. And so there is a minute of this, and then he puts his hand on top of yours and starts to guide you, and it is there where you two become, in this moment, the perfect dancing couple, where there is a lead and there is a follow, but who is really leading and who is really following? And there's that, the whatever that is, the positive pressure of two things like guiding each other by giving feedback. And in that moment, your inspiration is very forbidden, where the annihilation of the human self.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So this is weird. We got weird, but we went there. 13. I think that's plus soul. That means I think
it's
I
not
got
a 9.
It's not a 9. No, I think I got the full success. It is. Cool. So I got 16.
Yeah, choose 2 options. Entice an entity, see through the illusion, or inspiration.
It's see through the illusion, because Clara wants to watch everything Bethany and Matthew are going to do next and learn from them. So she just, fuck the illusion. She is looking hard through all the magic we're doing. And inspiration. She wants to put this inspiration into the room. She wants to give them power. She wants to give them creativity. So however they're going to start this ritual, she has made it a better space than it was already.
Yes.
She's giving them a palette of Van Horst power to start working with.
Yes. Almost, if you have ever imagined, if you have ever seen the tea flowers, those curled up bundles of herbs that you put in the teapot and they gently furl to life, it is like that, but flesh and hellish ore. It is like something is being prepared. It is like what is it called? When you cook a fish in parchment paper. When you put the whole fish and you put the lemons in the Herbe de Provence and you fold it over and you steam it, and there's that moment where you have to take the impossibly sharp scissors, because heaven forbid something tear, and you cut it open and you open it up, or any other time, like when you take apart a whole fish for presentation. It is very much that. It is that intangible but there moment where the shape of a living thing is turned into another shape that is of utility.
And when she's done and she feels the moment with David come to a close, the last final touches are put on. She doesn't remove the crystal from Marie. She lets Marie be flayed and laid out, presenting the crystal out of this body cavity that she just artistically flayed with David, and stands up and stands back very calmly and looks at Matthew and Bethany and goes, "She's ready. I'm ready. This is your place of power now, too. I just don't know what is next."
So it was mentioned earlier that Matthew might be jealous of the intimacy that David is having. But Matthew, if this had been a few days ago, that is accurate. But Matthew is very much getting into the headspace of what his power is and how his power is defined. And David is part of him now. Does a lover get jealous of their hand caressing their beloved's face? And he's just feeling the feelings of David so close, having this moment with Clara that's so different than the intimacy that he has with her, but that same awe. He's feeling far, far away. His first lord, doing what she does, enjoying the power that she holds over others in her hands as well.
Mm-hmm.
And he walks forward to his beloved sister's first martyr, who gave herself unwittingly, unwillingly, but out of love, and to have everything that she is transformed into this. And when he takes off his gloves, he's never been able to cut the hand that is made of metal before. It's metal. And it's not just that, it's Metropolis metal. So he doesn't take a knife out. He doesn't try to, slice across his palm. He reaches out to the oar, and he knows which the sharpest edges are, because of course he does, because he has someone who knows how to hurt, how to maim in him, and he is in them. And when he runs the pad of his hand, never the inner crease, what if he would need to hold a weapon, but the pad of his inner hand over that sharp oar, he just commands it to split. And it obeys. And the iridescent liquid that flows out pools in his hand. And he holds it over this tapestry of flesh and organs and bone that is holding this crystalline and ore structure. And he watches it pool as he holds it over, and he watches how it sits from the initial cut on the ore, and he says, "Bethany, I have materials."
Thank you. And Bethany will come and catch up this bleeding metal in her hands. And some of this is born out of her own inability to keep it together, and the idea of being stuck and rotting and turning into something else. And that means that what this body needs to go back to where it's supposed to become something else, to remove this wrong rot, are the worms. Worms will take the thing and break it down, and it will finish this cycle of death, that if they don't do this kindness, this body will be trapped with this piece of hell in it and will not be allowed to complete its own desiccation. And so she is going to catch them and pool in her hand Matthew's blood, the blood that she made out of these little Metropolis maggots in the first place, and that when she had to make his hand, she managed to expand because she only needed a finger, and then he came back without a hand, and it was a problem. And so it's already something that she has made more of, has already made more with, and so it's flexible. And in the way that Quicksilver acts, as she just got to go experience Metropolis metal, that maybe there's still some, within her dreamt pores, that in the pool that is Matthew's silvery Metropolis metal blood, you watch the surface tension start to form into a ball and then start to stretch out into one of the maggots, and lets them start to then pour from her hands. They just go over her fingers, and it's real gross, y'all. It's a font of weird metallic silver worms that are just spilling out of her hands onto this corpse, but specifically onto the ore, and leaving for now, certainly, all that is Marie that has been pulled back from this untouched by it. They're just right on top of all of the ore. So I should probably roll plus soul about that.
Yeah, that seems like a plus soul moment.
Right. We'll see how that goes. And I rolled an 11 with plus 4 for soul is 15. So
Yeah.
That's what we needed.
What we needed.
Excellent.
So the Metropolis worms or the metal maggots have a diet of one thing. That thing is not Metropolis. They infest and chew their way through things that should not be in Metropolis. Now, were they a weapon? Were they part of an immune system? Were they somebody's experiment? Were they some twisted dream that came to pass in the uncounted time since humanity was gone from Metropolis? We'll never know. But we do know that they are endless and they feast. And so when they pour down and into and around the cracks of this ore, it is a fight of thematics. This is a conflict where Bethany is asserting the concept of Metropolis over this remaining idea of unnecessary cruelty. Because had Clara not released her beloved friend from that pain, it would have started to crystallize before she died. And so the worms start to nibble and chew and find cracks and feed in, and they expand impossibly like swelling grubs, and it cracks along its various features. And it, for a moment, it almost looks a little pathetic, because there is a little bit of that something sinking below the waves for the final time, a mountain vanishing below a molten silver sea. But one can only miss such a thing so much. And there are a few moments where you can see almost blade-like a piece of it rise up and then go back down as the final moments of this conflict come to pass, and now writhing in their infinitudes of twisting, twirling, non-Euclidean, non-illusory worms swarming. They are so full of power and almost begging for a purpose. And if they are not given one, they will begin again consuming not Metropolis.
Bethany's going to look up at Clara and say, now, it's gone. Whatever you want to do with this and this power, do it now. Before they take her.
Clara comes over and she reaches down and first touches the worms
Mm-hmm.
just with her power and her command to see if they will, and brushes over them to see if they will follow what she does. Like, can she mold them with her willpower and her capital P power alone?
Yes. In this moment, yes. You have all done so much work to make this work that's why it happens. You know, you think that on an average Tuesday, could you take a mason jar of Metropolis worms out and make something happen? No, but here in your power, in this moment, inspired
in
and
my
heartbroken, in your temple.
Yes.
Yeah.
So as she realizes she can mold them, she starts remolding all of Marie's body. And she starts with the body cavity to close everything up. She wants to heal the hurt there first, and to make Marie's hips perfect again, and her pelvis and her buttocks and everything that man took away from her perfect again.
Mm-hmm. And
then she starts sculpting upwards, taking in her breasts and her collarbones and her neck. And Clara starts with just rebuilding Marie as she was at first, and then kind of pauses and starts, once she has what she remembers of the woman and all of the damage has been healed, and there is this metal woman in front of her now, she starts elongating features. So Marie looks like Marie, but is also going to look like Maria from Metropolis. So Clara starts painting in the bigger eyes, the longer hands that robot had, the more stylized, I can't see it, very round metallic breasts, the stylized hips, but with Marie's features still there. Like, there is inspiration from Marie and inspiration from Maria here.
Yes.
And Clara keeps painting until it feels right. Until when you look at this robot, you immediately think, oh, it's the Metropolis robot. That's Maria. And then you stop and you're like, no, that's Marie. That's her nose. Those are her cheeks. Those are her lips. That's not a robot. That's a person. But no, it's a robot. And if somebody looks a little too long or a little too hard, their illusion, in Clara's mind, is slightly shattered because the thing she's making shouldn't really be possible.
Yes. It gains a strong measure of Art Deco in the styling, the smoothing of some of the lines, the shaping of some of the curves. It leans a little bit away from the German design of the original one, but it is still inarguably both Maria and Marie. And Clara, it is unimportant, but it is critical. Marie had on her left shoulder a mark. That mark was a cigar burn from a bad day.
Mm-hmm.
And that mark has been on her as long as you have known her. But it is not here now. Do you, with your thumb, recreate that memorial imperfection?
Oh, that's hard. Yes.
Okay.
Because it is still Marie. And honoring what her body was and who she was is important to Clara.
Mm-hmm.
And also, Clara doesn't need her Metropolis robot army that she's clearly going to make in the future to be perfect. She doesn't need perfect automatons. She needs people and robots and things that she can love. And she loves the imperfections. So, yeah, the mark goes back on.
The mark goes back on, and you run your thumb over it because it's on her shoulder. It's a good spot for comfort.
Mm-hmm.
And so you think of the thousands of times you have run the pad of your thumb over that slightly glossy skin. And how if you could get your hand on her shoulder, you could find Maria in a pitch black room.
Mm-hmm.
By that thumb-sized little bit of high shine. And now you can find her again. And now it is her reliquary, and her tomb, and her memorial, and her forever.
And once that mark is finished, and we've all gathered power and soul and magic in this space, in Clara's temple, she finishes the story and this working as many love stories and fairy tales finish by leaning over and gently kissing Marie on the lips. And breathing this last bit of power into her and whispering, "Sit up. You're mine now, forever."
The reliquary sits up with perfect poise and perfect grace, and puts her hands behind her and puts her chest out and her shoulders out and rotates her body and puts her feet under her in that very classic, like, I have been awakened pose. And lifts her head up, and you know that what she's doing is getting her face perfectly lit because she knows where the spotlights are. And she is sat up.
Clara gets up in this moment and stumbles back and just reaches for Matthew and Bethany's hands, like wants to touch her family and revel in the power.
Matthew will take her hand, and she can feel just the echoes of the flow of power when she said, "You are mine now." The echoes of that power of binding course through her. And it's almost as if she can see, especially with how she's seeing through the illusion with her forbidden inspiration, that chain developing from heart of the automaton to Clara's wrist. And she knows that this is probably not going to be the first time that she has such a light that she controls from heart to wrist. She guides, and they follow with their hearts.
And so the first martyr of the Van Horsts is bound. And a very long time ago, your father bound creatures to love you. But for you three, in this case, you loved her, so you bound her into a creature.
I have a lot of feelings.
Yeah. Is there still blood on the stage, or did the Metropolis worms eat everything that was like not supposed to be there.
I don't think we were going to gray goo the entire stage.
That's fine. Yeah. Yeah.
There's definitely
So there's
some manual
still
cleaning.
a mess. Yeah.
But at this point,
Fine.
there isn't a terrifying dead body, so you could probably throw a couple of $100 at some cleaning staff and say, "We had a good night. Just make it go away."
Yeah.
And that's probably sort of the gist of things at this point, where we'll do like some basic stuff.
Well,
for
Clara's holding their hands and squeezes Matthew's hand with a big thank you, but then squeezes Bethany's hand and looks at her and goes, "Are you proud of me finally? Did I do it right?"
Yes. This is your place and this is your power, and you found it, and it's yours, and you don't need to tie yourself into anyone else's power to find your own. Look at the beautiful thing that you made. We helped, but you made her, and she's yours.
We all did it. This was when we all use our magic, especially together, we can do powerful things, epic things.
Man.
Yes.
But it is us together. It isn't just me. And I don't want to be bound. I don't want to
Did this together. This is your power. This is your place. We get to share this with you. You don't have to give it away to us.
We all get to share in each other's, yes. But we all are the masters of our own domains. And that's what I think Bethany's trying to remind everyone of.
Yes. Marie, go take your throne. This is your place now.
Marie brings itself to its feet and walks with walks on her toes, like in a perfect dancer's form, over and goes to the place on the stage where the automaton is supposed to be in the partially finished set design, and places herself there and rotates perfectly with a beautiful motion and takes one step back. And there is a ringing noise, as if some great, perfectly cast bell had been struck. And despite everything that happened, this is now a temple of Metropolis. It has its priestess, and it has its altar.
Good. This was still an attack on us. And on a place that is my holy place. We turned their power against them, but I don't think this is the last time. I think we're all going to have to be much more careful.
Yes. They're going to keep coming after us.
We should go back to the room. Get food, probably. Maybe sleep. Eventually. And you both can tell me how your nights went.
Sounds like a good plan to me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Bethany, before they leave the theater, just looks over and says, "Thank you, David."
And he inclines his head in a gesture of wordless pleasure at service.
Mm-hmm.
And he is the last one out, I think. He escorts the three Van Horsts out. And in the dark now, with all the lights off and the stage lights off and these old, hot, old-fashioned spotlights creaking on an inaudible scale to anyone but David, and he turns and he gazes into the darkness at the end of the stage, and he sees a silver flash of two eyes that open, and he smiles and he nods and inclines his head in welcome, in greeting, and in camaraderie, because while you did make a temple and you did make a memorial for your friend, the other thing you made is David not alone. And he turns and he shuts the door. And I think that is where we shall call it for tonight.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, yeah.
That was real good.
It's well good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so
How's
glad
everybody
we made a
doing?
friend.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah.
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 Thank you for letting us run with such cool stuff, Ben. This was really fun.
It was really fun for me too. One of my flaws, one of my many flaws, but specifically one of my storytelling flaws, is that protectiveness of advancement sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Of don't let it progress, don't let it go, keep it here. This is fun. Let's just stay here. And so that kind of that releasing of advancement and that change is always scary. And I'm glad that we worked our way through it and that I let it happen.
It was really cool. And I had a very good experience. And I liked all the different ways that we worked together in it. It felt very good, especially after our schismatic last game.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's good. Yeah. Cause I think it's going to be, I think that this is going to be good ground for Matthew to be like, so let me tell you about my real fucked up night.
Yes. He's like, oh, I should probably mention that at some point, but not right now.
Yeah. Let me tell you about the time I almost I peeled off a lady's face for the audacity to look like you.
I love you, boo. Yeah. No, it worked really well.
Yeah.
No, it was really good. Thank you. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, it was being, yes. Eventually, Bethany will be like, "There's another Bethany in Las Vegas who's gonna try to kill me. Just heads up." That's just out there.
BT dubs.
BT dubs. That's a later problem.
Claire's
shows up in my face.
Claire's momentarily worried about am I being paranoid? They're probably not coming after us. And then both of you are going to tell your story. She's like, I'm not being paranoid. They're not coming after us.
You're not. You're not. They're fucking with us.
Yeah.
But thank you all for doing this. It was really cool. But I was like, oh gosh, this is such a Clara highlight episode.
I liked it. No,
I feel
it
bad
was really
for
cool.
hogging screen time sometimes, but it was really cool.
Don't feel bad at all. This was
Don't feel
great.
bad at all. It was really good.
And Clara deserves some good screen time.
I know.
She's been going through a lot.
Yeah.
She's going through her super fucked up art, and the way that Clara creates art is not as an actress ever. Sometimes she like gets deep into her lies, but just super fucked up art. Making art with David was very cool.
It was very cool.
That was really awesome. I really have loved this sort of like, in my opinion, this was a great Clara highlight episode because like I feel like it was a good time for it, and it was a really cool way of us being able to see like her evolution in her ways as well, which has been really, really awesome.
Right.
Yeah.
And Clara like has been having such anxiety of not like feeling like she isn't as powerful or feeling she isn't as much like in the magic or all of those things. And so like having this episode be like, no, Clara, this is your magic and this is where it is and this is how it works and it's all of those things is really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
100%
really cool to have her like have.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, it was super awesome.
I do have to pop off.
Yeah.
Yep. It is
No,
the
that's
time.
fine.
It's
Yeah, it is 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
thank you all.
Thank you all.
This was
This
cool.
was
This is
delightful.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Yes.
Happy birthday, Kate.
Thank you.
Yay,
Happy birthday, Kate. Yes.
And I'll see at least 2 of you in a little less than a week.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exciting.
Sounds good. All right. Night,
So,
everybody.
Good night.
Yeah.